My global issue that I will be discussing today is the impact of questioning roles on family. To achieve this, I will be looking at two different works. The first work will be the work in translation, A Doll's House, by Henrik Ibsen, originally written in Norwegian. The second work I will look at will be The Applicant, a poem by Sylvia Plath. The play A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen is a realist drama, but it has a twist in the end that opposes societal standards and beliefs. This passage focuses heavily on the theme of roles and relationships between women and men. Before this passage, the protagonist, Nora, has just announced to her husband, Torvald, that she is leaving him and the family. The author, Henrik Ibsen, uses this passage from A Doll's House to demonstrate Nora's drive for independence and rebellion against society and her husband for forcing her to fill the role of a mother and a wife without even letting her learn any truth about her place in society. The repetition of clarity and clearness in the passage shows Nora's desire for understanding. Nora voiced this by saying that she must think things out for herself and try to get clear on line 5. She is left confused and convoluted by the way that she is prevented from learning about the world and how she is sheltered by her husband. Nora understands that her quest for knowledge will not be supported by her husband, so she must go off on her own. Homer fires back at her questioning by asking her, "Are you not clear about your place in your own home? Have you not an infallible guide in questions like these? Have you not religion?" On line 7. He doubts that Nora wants to learn about the world because he views her only as a woman filling her typical role in society as a mother and wife. Homer uses religion as an example of the guide she should have about her role in society because it fits Nora into the role that he wants her to take. Nora is not certain about anything except her uncertainty, expressing just how clear she is about wanting to learn. The motif of independence is expressed through Nora and her desires. She tells Homer that she must think things out for herself on line 5. To think for herself, she needs to break away from Homer and her family. Nora wants this independence and freedom to act on her own. Nora also tells Homer, "When I get away from here and stand alone, I will look into that matter too. I will see whether what he taught me is true, or, at any rate, whether it is true for me." On line 12. Nora does not disbelieve the clergy and religion, but since she was never able to figure out if it was true or not, she cannot believe it until she learns about it. Nora wants to make her own truth about the world and her role, instead of listening to the truths of people like Helmer and the clergy. Nora must become separate from people like Helmer, who believe that she must fill her role in society. The similes and idioms describe Nora's confusion and turmoil about society and her role as a woman. Nora tells Helmer, "I don't really know. I am all at sea about these things," on line 19. This idiom describes how, like a ship at sea, she is in the middle of land and a broad stretch of empty sea. If she heads toward the land, she will gain understanding of the world and freedom, but if she is taken to sea, she will be lost forever and never fulfill her desire for independence. Homer says to Nora, "You talk like a child," on line 23. Homer insults Nora by calling her a child, and although it is true that she has a child's understanding of the world, it is only because Homer is the one standing in the way of advancing her knowledge. To develop her understanding and head towards knowledge, she must break from Homer and those who would block her. This passage describes how Nora wants to separate from her societal role and position as a mother and wife so that she can learn the truth for herself about her place in society. The repetition of clarity in the passage demonstrates how clear Nora is about needing to separate from her husband and disperse her lack of understanding. The motif of independence shows how Nora must be separated from people who want her to fill the typical role as a wife and mother if she is ever to learn. Similes and idioms in the passage present how Nora's understanding of society is childish because of how she is blocked from learning, and how she is in the middle of a major decision to pursue knowledge or fall back into her typical societal role. These ideas and this global issue are carried out through other parts of the play as well. Nora announces to Torvald, "I do not love you anymore," on page 166, demonstrating how her questioning her role as a mother and wife throughout the work has impacted her and influenced her into destroying the family that she has built with her husband. The love that held the family together was not true and only existed because it was enforced by the role Nora fell into. Nora realized that, for 8 years, she had been living with a strange man and had borne him 3 children, page 168. Nora and Torvald's whole family was built upon the roles that not only Nora was provided with, but Torvald as well. Both became married and had children as a result of societal pressures, causing an unstable relationship from the beginning, as neither of them truly knew the other. Therefore, the failure of their family was not entirely the fault of Nora's questioning, but also the fault of society for throwing them together. Despite Torvald's efforts to keep the family together, the two were pushed apart, ending their family as all the members had known it. Nora understands the impact of this on her children and leaves them to Torvald because he intends to continue filling his role when she says, "Goodbye, Torvald. I won't see the little ones. I know they are in better hands than mine. As I am now, I can be of no use to them." Page 169. The contrast between Torvald and Nora's views on their marriage shows how, unless both sides of the partnership share an equal desire for the bond, it will only be obligations and rules that bind the pair. Nora breaks Torvald from these rules that bind him to her when she leaves and tells him, "In any case, I set you free from all your obligations," page 170. Although Torvald may not have wanted to change the role he was in, it was forced upon him by his wife, and he had to contend with the idea of going outside of his role by being both father and mother to his children. The second work I will be investigating is a poem called "The Applicant," written by Sylvia Plath. In this poem, the speaker is a salesman who is questioning a man about what he is missing. The tone in the beginning of the poem is harsh as the salesman questions the applicant, but becomes argumentative by the end as he tries to sell him a wife. The salesman places the applicant in the typical role of a husband by telling him that his wife will do whatever you tell it, stanza 3. The applicant is given the typical male role in the relationship, confining him to his gender role. It is impossible for either the man or the woman to get out of the marriage, which is shown by the line, "Believe me, they'll bury you in it," stanza 5. The pair must fulfill their roles to their family, and no matter what they do, they cannot escape it. The wife starts in the closet to represent how she is forced to hide away to save herself for marriage. Throughout the poem, the woman is referred to as "it," further revealing a misogynistic aspect to the idea of a man and wife. At the end of the poem, the speaker repeats, "Will you marry it, marry it, marry it," stanza 8. Despite the line being phrased like a question, there is no question mark, showing how forceful society can be at pushing people into unquestioningly filling their role. The repetition continues this idea with how the roles are constantly pushed on people so that they have no room to question otherwise or try to oppose them. Several of the ideas in "The Applicant" are present throughout some of Sylvia Plath's other poems. In the poem "Tulips," Plath describes her family and the role she is forced into as little smiling hooks, stanza 3. She cannot escape into the calm peace with her family dragging her down and forcing her to be a mother and wife. In the poem "Daddy," the speaker compares the oppressive actions of their father to Hitler. Their questioning of their father's role led to disdain and distraught feelings in the family. This allowed for them to move past the things they were forced to experience under their father, but also damaged their family. In the poem "Lady Lazarus," the speaker states that they eat men like air, stanza 28, because they are angered that they were brought back to life and forced to re-enter their role in the family that they were trying to escape. These works demonstrate how questioning roles can bring truth about the relationship between members of a family, but can cause disarray and destruction as people try to escape the roles they have been given without having any knowledge as to where they can go without them.